Hi, my name's Andy Van Bergen. I'm the owner and founder of Everesting. What is Everesting, you ask? Well, quite simply, and it sounds simple, but it's not actually simple to do. Quite simply, Everesting is the act of climbing on foot or on bike the height of Mount Everest, which is 8,848 meters or 29,029 feet. But you do that by picking any hill anywhere in the world and riding or walking repeats of that until you climb the height of Mount Everest. So it's a lot. Basically, Everesting has been around for 8 years or so, and for the majority of people who have ever taken this challenge on, and we're talking a challenge that will, for most people, take around 15 to 20 hours, for most people that will take this on, it's something that they'll do once, maybe twice in their life. It's ridiculously hard. However, for a gentleman by the name of Dr. Jonathan Egan, not only has he done this once, not 10 times, not 50 times, but he's done it more than 100 times. In fact, at the time of filming this, I think he's up to about 108 or 109 or something like that. Guaranteed it will be well in advance of that by the time you're watching this actual video. Jonathan Egan is an amazing individual. His tenacity and kind of courage in being able to commit to doing these Everestings over and over again is absolutely exceptional. So Jonathan Egan, a huge congratulations to you from the entire Everesting community. You are amazing.
I remember having a BMX fairly early on, but mainly did a lot of sailing and then got into windsurfing and mainly rode at school. Did a little bit of early cycle curing work up and down the Pacific Highway when I was in Sydney, so that was interesting. Just doing chemist deliveries for nursing homes and so forth. Pay the bills through uni and that sort of thing. But yeah, largely got into cycling about 15 years ago when I broke my leg playing over 35 soccer, and wasn't allowed to weight bear for 3 months, but I was allowed to sit on a stationary bicycle. So I just sat in front of the TV on the stationary bicycle, and then gradually started riding that bike to work, and then doing sort of longer multi-day rides and longer single-day rides.
My first long bike ride, I was completely numb feet or toes and completely numb nether regions, and so I had a bike fit, and that was just revolutionary, having a bike fit.
Got into Audax riding, long distance riding with the Audax groups in New South Wales, and I've done the Sydney to Melbourne ride with them over 4 days, which is a lovely supported event. And I guess that with my shift work in kids intensive care, it lends itself to days off during the week. And so I've always enjoyed a longer ride and then doing hill repeats. And so I guess Everesting is sort of a more formalised way of doing hill repeats. And just a good way to test your limits and push your limits, explore what's possible. Worked in kids intensive care for the last 20-25 years, and largely that's children who require life support, who've become critically unwell quite quickly usually. They usually recover quite quickly. There's a team of doctors and nurses from throughout the hospital that work to enable them to recover and regain sort of a great potential to move forward. And it's largely fairly intense shift work, and so that lends itself to days off during the week or night shift type rides, that sort of thing, a bit of commuting. Yeah, it's enjoyable, challenging work, and yeah, I hope to continue doing that for another 10, 15 years. There's a large amount of children who are affected by either congenital heart disease or acquired heart disease. Yeah, so that is certainly a large part of that. I've done some additional research and work in that area. But yeah, that is a large part of it. And then otherwise, it's children who've been affected by an injury or a bad illness, a bad viral illness, bacterial illness, or who may have additional problems like have leukemia or a cancer that they're recovering from, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's certainly challenging at times. I think like a lot of jobs, it has its harder days and its easier days, and so it's just a balance. It's a large team of doctors and nurses that work together, and yeah, we do our best to support each other while we're supporting the families. But yeah, there's certainly some memorably hard days and some memorably rewarding days. It's been very different the last year. I think we've been incredibly fortunate in Australia, and more so even in paediatrics, I guess, throughout the world. Children have been less affected than adults. But Australia's been quite unique in terms of experience. So we've had quite a limited experience with COVID related to the international borders being closed. So yeah, quite a very different experience to what the UK and the US and the rest of the world have had. We've done a lot of preparation for COVID in paediatrics. In adult intensive care, they've had a fair bit of experience with COVID, particularly in Victoria, less so in the rest of Australia. So I think we've done a lot of preparation and planning. In paediatrics, we were sort of poised to look after adults in intensive care, but that wasn't required. So these days, there's a lot less viral illness prevalent in the community because of more COVID-safe practice. And then there's vaccination happening. They're sort of the main influences at the moment. I have a university appointment at Sydney University. I think that's a senior lecturer position. I did a PhD which finished in 2009. That largely looked at the issues related to recovering from cardiac surgery in children. So just explored some of the dogmas around cardiac function, cardiac swelling, and explored sort of some proteins that are involved in that process. Basically, we'd always been worried about swelling of the heart. The work we did suggested swelling of the heart was less important than the heart being deprived of oxygen and blood flow during a heart operation. So sort of changed our focus a little bit in terms of the recovery of kids, what we prioritised and what we focused on. So that's led to some further work, and yeah, it was quite good. We didn't find what we expected to find, and it's enabled us to continue to try and improve outcomes for kids after heart surgery. It's interesting what you stumble across while you're sweating it out, riding up and down the hill. You do come up with fairly, at the time, what seemed like very inspired ideas, which when you've stopped riding are often a bit more out there than they seemed at the time. But yeah, some of them have passed the the non-exercising still useful idea test. Yeah, I guess it's just sort of setting yourself a challenge and meeting that challenge, and you always have a bit of trepidation each time in terms of, you know, do I really want to wake up at that time of day, and do I really want to drive to that point at, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning? But once you get up, get in the car, get to the place, clip in, start riding, then it becomes easier. It's just a matter of staying upright and eating and drinking and keeping the lights charged. It's always nice when the sun comes up. And largely it's a matter of being sort of well rested, well fed beforehand, and looking after yourself on the climb, on the road, having a place that you're comfortable to ride most of the day, a safe place where you're comfortable with what traffic there will be, what animals there will be. And then I guess having limits in terms of how you're feeling, how the bike's going, what the weather's like. It's usually weather or weariness that may mean that you can't finish. Usually sort of cold and rain rather than heat. Heat slows you down, but I haven't found that that's stopped me yet. But yeah, wet and cold and weariness has stopped me. But it's good to stop. It's hard to stop, very hard to stop, but good to stop when you have to. I don't really do any specific training anymore. So the Everest is sort of a bit of a training ride in itself. Like it's a challenging ride, so they kind of, yeah, I guess sort of feed themselves, feed the next one. It's interesting, the recovery. I think early on it used to take me weeks or certainly a month or so to feel like doing another one. That's gradually got a bit easier. Certainly the last year or so, and I think that partly pushing the limits and just sort of exploring those limits. Thought I'd stop around 50, but yeah, I think with COVID and so forth last year, it just sort of developed a bit of a momentum and kept going. So I think I'll just potter away at them. I think I will do less than one a week. Should become more sort of back to sort of one a month or so, but I think I'll keep doing them while I can. They're fairly enjoyable, sort of quite a prescribed, succinct way to do a punchy ride. And there's lots of lovely hills that I have been able to Everest, and there's lots of hills that I would like to Everest still. So yeah, just continue to explore those. Haven't done a full gravel one, so hoping to do one of those in the next couple of months. It's just a matter of fitting in with the family plans and so forth, and not trying to do one, you know, before a wedding or a birthday party, or yeah, and just it's a delicate balance at times, but they've been very supportive and understanding. And at this stage, they haven't said that they're about to do an Everest, but see how things go. You never know.